Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another Sporting160EN podcast. This is podcast number 43, and we got a big panel today, boys. Let me start it off with my boy Steph. How you doing, Steph?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. This weekend was pretty good. We won on Friday, and the modalities we did great. The only deception was, and we'll talk about it. The volleyball, the men's team, we lost against our rival. But besides that, we won everything else. So I'm doing great.
Sounds good. We're also joined by Nando. Nando, how you doing, bro?
What's up, guys? I'm doing well, man. It's been a while since I've been able to get back on here. I'm excited to be back.
Happy to be back. That after a couple of months, it's me again, bro.
I know, man. You know, I almost consider
I guess he's not
if I can do this, but nah,
he's
man.
not ready yet.
It's fun to be back, and we won, man. So it's always good to do a podcast after a win. And what is it? 9 straight wins, I think. 8 straight.
Eight straight wins. Yeah,
8 straight wins. Yeah.
Hey, and let me just say, it's a pleasure to have you back, bro. We missed you, Nando.
I appreciate it, man.
For sure. And last but not least, my boy Chris. Chris, how you doing, dude?
I'm doing good. Very, very excited for Friday, for the UEFA Futsal Cup semis. So counting down the days until that. But yeah, very good win this weekend, and hopefully we keep it rolling. Already the longest win streak under Kaiser. So. Yeah. I think it's like 12 matches unbeaten in all all comps.
All competitions, yeah.
So yeah,
good. True, because we tied against Villarreal the last time we faced them. Good point. Anyways, let's get to the game this weekend. It was an uneventful one, but we still won. We got away with it. 1-0 winners. Starting 11 a little bit alterated due to suspensions and some injuries. But the starting 11 was as followed. We had Selenet, Ristovski, Kovac, Mathieu, and Acuna in the back line, with Doumbia, Goudelli, and Fernandes in midfield. Diaby and Jovan Cabral on the wings, with Luis Felipe up top. With substitutions in the 82nd minute of Jefferson for Jovan, 85th Miguel Luis for Goudelli, and then in the 90th we had Geraldine for Diaby. But Steph, let me get your what are your 2 cents on the game?
Against Nacional, we knew it was going to be a tough game because they fighting to stay in the first division. So any points they can get, they fought for it, and they fought as much as they could to their full capability and capacity. But Sporting did play better. We controlled the game in the first half, but we just couldn't score. We couldn't find the net. But Nacional didn't create a lot of chances of goal. I can't remember a clear one. Maybe some dangerous crosses, but nothing significant. Salin, he had a pretty easy afternoon on Friday. And then in the second half, finally, Luis Felipe, he kind of made us forget about Bas Dost. He's showing his qualities as a striker, and he scored a beautiful goal again, a ponta de lança, and then we kept strong, and with that 1-0. I don't like winning by 1-0. It's always too short. Like we've said it so many times, all it takes it's a free kick or corner kick, and then they could tie the game. But that wasn't the case. We basically were pretty smart in holding the ball and in using the whole field to circulate the ball. And hey, we won. We got the 3 points. Another great performance by both of our center backs, Kovac and Mathieu. Very solid. Stefan Ristovski as well. Even Diaby was decent, helping out the defense, going back and forth. Acuna, like always, that guy is amazing. Good, even Bruno Fernandes as well. and I heard some commotion upstairs in my house. But so other than that, Dubia was great. Luis Felipe was great. Jovan Cabral did pretty good too. The team is motivated. You could see the difference because now they're getting more resting time. So they only play one game per week, so they have more time to practice together, to assimilate the ideas of the coaching staff, and now you can see the team clicking. But I gotta admit it, I'm dying to see the combination of Doumbia and Wendell together for a full game.
Yeah.
Next week at home against Guimarães. That should be pretty good because Goodell's won't be able to play. He got his number 12 yellow card, so he got a game suspension. But besides that, happy to get the 3 points. We're in third place, holding strong. And I just want to win against Guimarães and spank them because of what they did to us at Guimarães. That's it.
Yeah, agreed. And Nando, I'll pass it off to you. What did you think of our game against Nacional?
Yeah, man. I thought that it was finally a really all-around, well put-together game. I think Steph nailed it there with a couple things, talking about how well Luis Felipe has just kind of become that striker. That's what he's got to do. He's just show up in the right times, get a foot on the ball.
Can you hear Nando?
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
cool.
can. Okay.
No, let me know if it sounds bad. Does it sound okay?
I think Steph's just having issues listening in.
No, but I was saying.
But I can hear you and Chris.
Chris?
That's weird.
Fuck. On this again?
Let me.
No, that's cool.
Yeah, if anything, Steph, just try to listen in, I guess, on the YouTube thing and then mute it when.
What, has that been happening?
No, pretty cool. Deixa-me
No?
saber. Give me a hand like, és tu, now. That's good.
Yeah, if you can hear me, that's cool.
But yeah, he hit a lot of it on the head there. A lot of players that personally, like Goudelli for me, has been playing real well, and he played an overall good game in my opinion. But Luis Felipe has been a nice surprise given the fact that he only cost about €500,000, and he's finally getting some opportunities and he's putting them in. It doesn't have to be pretty; he just has to put them in. But personally, I enjoyed watching Giovanni play again. He had some really good, decent strikes and runs on the ball. I think first half there was a really good save by the Nacional goalkeeper on a kind of like a cut-in shot by Cabral. But overall, really good win. Bruno Fernandes keeps being influential in the game, and the team pretty much dominated. I mean, there's really nothing much to say other than the fact that Nacional just watched us play the whole game. Just a shame that it was only 1-0, but a win's a win. And like you guys already said, 8 straight wins, kind of solidifying that third place, trying to finish as well as possible, if you will. So I'm ecstatic about that.
Yeah, agreed. And Chris, what did you think of the game, dude?
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like it had potential to be one of those games where it's just 0-0. We're pounding the net and just can't put it in, and then they score one on a counterattack or something like that. But I mean, to be honest, they were not threatening really at any point. They had like one moment maybe, but they were not a threat really at all. So I mean, once we were able to finally score, it felt pretty comfortable even at 1-0, just because we were dominating so much. Their goalie had a very good game. He kept them in it, and probably was the reason that it wasn't more 3-4-0. But yeah, I mean, there was no players on our team that I thought played poorly. Even Goudelli played a decent game. Yeah, I mean, everyone played well. There was no one that was bad. It was just kind of annoying that all the subs came after the 80th minute. Would have liked to see him mix it up a little bit. I mean, one thing that was noted, I did think this was the poorest Bruno Fernandes game in a while. He lost the ball 33 times, which is pretty astronomical, and he still put in a pretty good performance. According to goal points player rankings, he was still the 5th best player on Sporting, and he lost the ball 33 times, so that's pretty amazing. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, he's always dangerous. But yeah, I was really glad that we were able to go to Madeira, get a result. I mean, Nacional didn't put up much resistance, but yeah, I mean the goalie played well. And yeah, it's just a good result, and I think it'll probably be a bit tougher this upcoming weekend with Guimarães, despite like recent turmoil there. It's always a tough team to play.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, so a few talking points. Nando, I'll start this one off with you. What did we think of Jovan Cabral, his overall performance against Nacional?
I liked it, man. I liked it a lot. I think that he was upbeat. He kind of reminded me of the Giovanni that we saw early in the season, the one that we were constantly debating whether or not he should start or whether or not he should come off the bench as a super sub, if you will. So, he's doing these things in that game that remind me of that, and it's kind of exciting to see, especially with all the talk of the other guy across the circular, João Felix or whatever, and we have our own young talent there that just needs that opportunity again. So it was really good to see that he was in the game. He was part of the game. He didn't spend it watching the ball go by him. He had a couple good shots, good movements. No complaints whatsoever, man. I enjoyed him a lot. And like I said, I mean, he made Nacional's goalkeeper have a hell of a save there and one of the shots in the first half. And that's what you expect from him. And I think that if he goes into the end of the season in that kind of form, making that be the last thing that these scouts are watching, that's something that Sporting, hopefully, the Direção builds on and kind of uses to their advantage towards next year. Obviously I don't expect them to sell him this year, hopefully not, knock on wood, but it's good to build momentum like that going into the next season. So I really, really enjoyed him against Nacional.
Yeah, agreed. Great point. Because he can definitely be our one of our main wingers. I mean, we're definitely thin on them. So yeah, it's a really good point.
Not only that, but I mean, he's got to be one of our biggest assets as we obviously Sporting. We already know that it's one of those situations where it looks like the Direção is transitioning to selling one or two top players every year, especially with the current Direção. So if he's got to be the one or one of the, it's only better for us if he continues to put that performance, string of performances together,
Yeah, exactly. Steph, another young performance, this time not from an academy player per se, but he is still young. Idrissa Doumbia, who's likely to take over Gudeli's spot again next game, seeing as he's suspended. What did you think of Doumbia's overall performance against Nacional?
I mean, we have to consider the fact that he came in the winter market, so him adjusting to Sporting quite really fast. That's amazing. But he had an interview on Sporting TV recently, maybe a couple of weeks ago, and he said that he pretty much adjusted to Portugal quite fast. He loves the fan base. He loves the club, how they treat him. He loved the food, the weather. I mean, what's not to like? Portugal in that aspect is very good, and he adjusted to his teammates real well, to the coaching staff. Apparently, the coaching staff, the one thing they know how to talk to players. They know how to be patient with young players. Let's not forget this. He's a young kid as well. He's from the Ivory Coast. He speaks French. Different language barrier and all that stuff. But apparently, himself, he said it. He's loving it. So all that, when you take all that into account, then a player they will tend to play better, to perform well, and when you have chemistry with the team, you listen to the coaching staff, you listen to your teammates, the veterans, then things kind of work out, and it's working out for him. And he's got the smarts, he's got the physique, he's got the speed for his position. Yeah. As a number 6, he's not too fast, but he's not too slow. His reaction time is perfect. And with boa passada, he covers a lot of the pitch. and that's what's expected from a number six. He has a good vision. I mean, he has room for improvement. He's not yet at the level of Bruno Carvalho, but he'll get there, and that's a beautiful thing about Dumbia. He's a young player, and if he's willing to listen to Kaiser, which everyone expected a lot from him from the get go because he was winning so many games. But let's be realistic. He came to Sporting replacing Peseiro, not knowing the team at all. I mean, you can read off, of course, a book or the internet and do your own research about any team in the world now. I mean, you could pull up Liverpool transfer market and check it out, but that's not good enough, is it? So Kaiser, what he's done at Ajax, it's paying off now. I mean, I hate to say it, but to the ones not paying attention to the soccer world, what did Ajax just do? They eliminated a team that has gone to the Champions League final 2 years in a row, Juventus. It's not easy. It looks easy, but it's not. And before that team, who was it? Real Madrid, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
So
and they drew against Bayern Munich as well. I don't think they beat them, but I think they drew against them, right? In the groups.
Yeah, but they eliminated them. So 3 gigantic teams: Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, and Juventus. And now they play in Barcelona, which that will be a very interesting match because they kind of play alike. There's only 3 teams they play like that. It's Barcelona, Ajax, and Manchester City. So Kaiser knows what he's doing. So give him time. And he had to adapt to the Portuguese league, which is way different from the Dutch league because they play for Festival de Canção. They play to score a lot of goals. And then when he came to the harsh reality that most of the teams in Portugal, they parked the bus, it became difficult for him to accept the concept and then to adjust to it. So, yeah, Dumbia did great. And to wrap it up, we have a great player. We got lucky to get him. I mean, I was scouting department was right on with this guy.
Yeah.
So kudos to our scouting department. And I'm expecting good things for next year. I just didn't like when I heard it on the news, and I hope it's bullshit that Kaiser wants to keep Goodell's.
Yeah, I hope so too. But yeah, just like you said, Dumbia is definitely. I think for the most part this season we've been crying out for a proper William replacement, and like you said, Steph, he's not there yet. Definitely not there yet. But we definitely see some flashes of William, especially like when he first started at Sporting. And this kid is a lot younger than when William started at Sporting. So, yeah, let's hope he kicks on, and hopefully, if he does end up starting this weekend, which I think he will, seeing as Goudelli's out, he can really cement his place.
And don't forget that. Remember where Willem Carvalho was loaned to?
Yeah, Cercle Bruges.
Exactly, in Belgium. And then we were patient with him, and then we got him back 2 years later, and he came back as a full player.
Yeah.
And this is why a lot of Sportingistas resent him the way he left, because we were so patient with him, and then he took a dump on us when we needed him.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Anyways, a bit back to the game. Chris, me and you were talking about this just before the podcast started, but I'm going to bring it up again. So Luis Felipe scores a very well-struck goal. But after seeing the replays again and again, what do you think, Chris? Was Luis Felipe offside?
Yeah, it's very, very difficult to tell. But to put it lightly, watching the replays over again doesn't leave me with great confidence that he was onside. Mm-hmm. There really isn't a good angle on it. And I think that's probably a lot of the reason why it was upheld, just was because they didn't have a good angle on it. Obviously, they run into this problem in a lot of the smaller stadiums in Portugal. The VAR is set up, but like just because of like the stadium size and where they're able to put the cameras and stuff, there isn't like a perfect angle of the looking across the line, but it appears as if he is potentially offside. The one thing that may be keeping him onside is one of the Nacional defender's arms. If you haven't seen it yet, I mean, I guess I could post a screenshot later on the account. But if you just go on like V Sports and watch the highlights, if you just pause it right as Bruno Fernandes is taking the free kick, it looks like he's potentially like half a step offside. But then again, there isn't a good angle looking across the line, so you can't really make a definitive judgment. So I think that they just kept the decision that they made on the field. And let's just say hypothetically they were to have ruled the goal offside, there really wouldn't have been enough video evidence to go the other way. So I think that we're fortunate in that sense because that was in like the 65th minute, I would estimate. So, I mean, if that game continued 0-0 for even longer than it did, it definitely could have potentially been, a very frustrating result, similar to results we've had, this season and even in the past. So I'm not 100% certain. I've seen more egregious allowed. I've seen more egregious disallowed.
Right.
So I mean, it falls probably right in the middle of the spectrum, but it's very tight.
Yeah, and I'm gonna actually agree with you because having a few looks at it myself, I do think he might be a bit offside as well. But Steph Fernando, I don't know if you guys have seen the highlights or not. But Steph, I'll start off with you. Do you agree? Do you think it's offside, or do you think he's in line?
No, I think he's in line. I mean, we're talking about centimeters. I mean, and when in doubt, the rule applies that you give the benefit of the doubt to the attack. Right. But I mean, you have the VAR looking at it in different angles. You have, it's not only one VAR referee; it's actually three. If I'm not mistaken, it's actually four. So it's the VAR referee plus two assistants and then the supervisor. So yeah.
Tanto o gajo a fazer o quê, caralho? Sorry, Steph, go ahead.
and they all inside a small little van.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Anyway, but with that said, if the four look at it and say, listen, we can tell. I mean, the play is really close. Then you have to give it the benefit of the doubt to the attack. It's that simple. I mean, why dwell on things that it makes no sense whatsoever? You wanna be, like benfiquistas and portistas. Pá, aquilo estava fora de jogo e o caralho, não sei mais que. At least it wasn't a mile like we see, in favor of their teams. You know what I mean? We're talking about a small little thingy like a toe or an inch.
At the end of the day, VAR also shouldn't be used as a measurement tool. So I see there too.
Exactly. Yeah. So to me, it was good enough. You know what I mean? And that's, did we cheat? We didn't cheat. It was so close of a call that you couldn't even make a decision on it. So the call stands. It's a goal. That's it. Because that's the law. That's the law, the way it is. So to me, it was a goal.
Fair. And how about you, Nando?
Yeah, same. I'm going to say it's a goal. And I'll make this point quick, but I'm so tired of in Portugal, they're constantly trying to avoid the rule of benefiting the defense when the rules across FIFA state you benefit the attack when in doubt. Because why? Because goals is what gets the game and the fans going. It's not good defense. It is what it is. So the fact, like Chris said, and everybody here has pretty much stated, was he a pinky forward, a pinky behind? It doesn't matter. I mean, the call on the field stood as it was a goal. Then if you got to go to VAR and then look it over, if there isn't that 100% certainty, you cannot go back on that call. Therefore, goal stands is what it is. We need to see more of that and not the other way around where then it's like, was he really half a centimeter ahead or behind? I'm over that nonsense. You got to benefit the team attacking. And if it was against Sporting, I'd say the same shit, honestly. because you got to be transparent across the board. And, I stand with it.
Yeah. All right. Great point, guys. Steph, I'll ask you this question next. Luis Felipe, he's scored in 4 straight games now. He's with good company in the list of players that have scored in 4 straight games for Sporting in the 21st century. He's with the likes of Jardel, Lietzen, Freddie Montero, Slimani, Bas Dost, and Bruno Fernandes. Is he, in simple terms, okay, because this season's almost coming to an end, do you see him being potentially our main striker coming next season, or do you think either Bas Dost or somebody else is going to need to come in to take that role and responsibility?
I'm glad you asked me this question because I'm the perfect person to answer this question.
Beautiful.
Because it's been bugging me a little bit on Twitter,
right?
And personally, I don't have a degree in anything as far as sports. I'm not qualified, certified. I'm not a professional in anything. I'm not an expert. My expertise is with my civilian job. So with that said, there's one thing that they caught my attention. Luis Felipe came from which team?
Paços Ferreira.
Exato. Bas Dost came from which team?
Wolfsburg, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Or something.
So there it is.
Yeah.
That's what the difference is, because people tend to say like this, "Epa," and I'm going to say it in Portuguese because actually it makes more sense and it's a little bit more funnier. "Epa, o Luis Felipe foi para Paços Ferreira. Ele não é tão bom como o Bas Dost. O Bas Dost é holandês, estrangeiro, é bom. Agora, o Luis Felipe não, é gajo qualquer, brasileiro, que há tonelada. E esse gajo não é assim tão bom como parece. Está a marcar uns golitos, mas não, para o próximo ano é o Bas Dost. And that really bothers me. Because this player, he started at Paços Ferreira, and before Paços Ferreira, he came from the Brazilian league. I mean, I can look into it, but I don't know the club name. So, but now he's showing that his credentials, he's showing his pedigree. He's showing that, listen, I'm pretty good, guys. Look what I can do. And I don't need too many chances of goal. Because if you look at the whole game, how many crosses did we give him? How many chances of goal did we give him? Not too many. Right. But whenever he has a golden chance, he scores. So is he a real striker? A real punta de lança? So far, he's proving he is. Is he better than Bas Dost? If we look at each other's background, history says he's not there yet, but he's getting there and quite fast. We asked this guy, hey, you replacing Bas Dost because he's injured. Apparently, he's injured. Now he's back again, but he's been back. Every week he's been back. By Wednesday he's back, and then here comes the game. He's not back again. So I don't know what's going on.
It's true. It's really annoying.
Because even my tweets sometimes, hey, Bas Dost is back. And then he comes in the first interview before the game. No, he's not back. I'm like, what the fuck? It makes me look bad. But with that said, yeah, I think I don't think I know Luis Felipe is good enough. He accepted the reality of being a bigger club than Paços Ferreira, bigger stadium, more fan base, more pressure, a club that wins titles. We've won titles, the 2018, 2019 League Cup. Yeah. So yeah, I would bet on him. I would keep him. I would develop him. He seems to be listening to Kaiser. He seems to be a good fit to the team. They like him. They respect him. You could see it, after the game, before the game, while they're playing the game. They all like each other. They have a good chemistry. So yes, and don't compare him to Bas Dost because of how many goals Bas Dost scored, but compare him to how he's playing now and how Bas Dost gave up on us, basically. I hope he comes back and he proves me wrong. I like Bas Dost. But if you're not doing well, mentally, and you want to leave Sporting, then leave. I mean, a good player that doesn't want to be in a club, he's he's not that good of a player, is he? I mean, we've seen these cases in Real Madrid. How many players want to leave Real Madrid? A whole bunch. Manchester United, Pogba, they lost 4-0 against Everton. Come on. They have a good team. What's going on? They're trying to fire not this coach again. But anyway, so to answer the question, yeah, Luis Felipe is good enough to be at Sporting. We have to believe in him. We have to develop him and coach him because he's scoring goals. He's showing us he's a good punta de lanza. So let's keep him and develop the guy.
All right, for sure. And last question really on the game before we get into man of the match. Actually, no, never mind. I have 2 questions, but last one on Luis Felipe. Chris, I'll ask you this. Has Steph convinced you? Should we bench Bas Dost if he's ready for next game, or do you think we should maybe give the Dutch striker a vote of confidence by starting him?
I mean, I don't necessarily think that it's smart just to start him just based off of the fact that he's coming off an injury and he hasn't played. You know, I don't think it's smart to play him for the 90 minutes anyways. So I would definitely want to see him back in the game just because I'm curious, honestly, because I don't necessarily think this break could have done him any worse because he was out of form and his confidence was non-existent. The last memory we have of him was that breakaway that he decided to pass the ball to no one.
Yeah, sure.
And that was like peak Bas Dost out of form. It was like borderline unwatchable. So we know that he can play. We know he's a goal poacher. But obviously it makes the decision a bit easier because we've got another striker and a great run of form. So we're running out of games now. There's 5 games left. There's no point in rushing him back. It makes his return obviously less urgent. Because if we were, tying all these games 0-0 and Luis Felipe looked like, he still played for Pasfreda, then it would be like, shit, like Marks, like Bas Dost, you fit, maybe rush you back a week or 2 early. But we're not in that spot. We don't need to do that. So I think that it's fine. Hopefully, we have at least like a 2-0 lead or something this weekend. I mean, I don't even know if he's coming back this weekend. And like I said in the last podcast, I don't know if he's coming back at all this season. His non being in the team for over a month now leads me to believe his injury is somewhat serious. And like Steph said, he's back in training. He's coming back. The last 2 weeks they've said that, and he hasn't been fit to even travel. Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, he might be out for the season at this point. There's only 5 games left. But if he does come back, I would like to see him play because I'm genuinely curious what he would look like if he came back into the team. Help him get his feet back under him, before he goes for the starting lineup again. Yeah.
Agreed. Really, my only fear with Bas Dost coming back is that they only bring him back for the Taça Portugal game, which I think would be a huge mistake.
If he doesn't play in any of the games and then he's fit for that game, you can't start him.
You can't bring him back, throw him in there. That's going to completely derail everything Luis Felipe has done.
Agreed. But I'm saying this, like, let's say the next 3-4 games, however many games are left, Luis Felipe hits a cold spot. Or he's not score. He doesn't score in these next coming games. Mm-hmm. I see them at least. I mean, it's a typical Sporting thing to do. I see them at least throwing in Dost, which worries me because I think we all are aware of how poor he is in these big games. I mean,
especially if he hasn't played in 7 weeks.
Exactly, and taking in also his last Taça Portugal miss in the final that hit the bar. I mean. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really have much faith in them, regardless of what had happened. If you can't put the ball in the back of the net, with an empty net, I think sometimes the occasions get to him. But anyways, that's just my opinion on it. So I agree with you also with what you were saying, Chris.
I think he's on the way out personally. On it, I really.
Yeah, I think so
too. Kind of grooming a way out for him.
But then my fear for that is if he's on his way out and he's not if our last memory of him was him passing the ball to nobody in front of the net, how much money are we really going to get from him?
Well, and
hopefully we can get some of that investment back. I mean, that's 10 million plus salary, but whatever the salary.
I don't know. That's another topic for another thing, but I don't see Sporting making a lot of money on a lot of things. I know we're going to get to a Bruno Fernandes topic soon, but I don't.
Right.
Back to how it used to be.
Yeah, fair enough. Nando, my last question actually on the game goes to you. Do you think Sporting was in the right for not playing Wendell after that unauthorized trip to Turin to watch Ajax beat Juventus?
Do I think Sporting's in the right to do that?
Yeah.
No. I think that I mean, if we're going to start telling, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how bad was it? Did he go watch the game, come back drunk? You know what I mean? Like, completely made a fool of himself? No. At least that's not what we know, right?
Right.
You can't start telling these players what they can and can't do on their time off. I mean, if Sporting isn't playing and these players can travel, I mean, do you hear Juventus telling like Ronaldo? I mean, granted, I know these are two different players, not even in the same conversation, but this happens all the time. Players travel because they got the funds. They're going to travel, even if it's one long day trip, get on a plane, go there and come back. That's their money. I think if anything, what they should have probably done is talked about it internally, maybe find him, maybe said, you know what, you're not going to start. You'll come off the bench. I prefer you don't do that, but to go ahead and shun it. And it's quite obvious, more than obvious now, that Sporting has like some sort of internal rat all over again, right? With the whole, whatever we've been talking about on the news lately. But the point is, this stuff is coming out. What Sporting is how Sporting is disciplining their players is coming out. I knew a bit of, via the news, like I'm sure a lot of you guys did before, we looked into it. So I think Sporting's in the wrong. I think that's not the right way to handle a situation like that. It's not like he went out and partied. He went out and watched the game. Sporting didn't have any obligation other than I don't know. I think it's in the wrong. Personally, keep it in-house. Find him if you have to. Maybe play him in the second half and keep it moving. Don't make it worse than it is, and then alienate a player, especially that is very important.
Can I
keep it in-house? Find him if you have to. Maybe play him in the second half and keep it moving. Don't make it worse than it is, and then alienate a player, especially that is very important.
I think you're playing the video. Okay, go ahead.
Can I jump in really fast?
For sure.
Okay, just to because in any company or institution like our club, Sporting Portugal, there's rules and regulations. So the reason why he was suspended, it's not just because he went to Italy. It's because that day he went to Italy after practice. Não foi num dia de folga when he was off. Because when he's off, he's allowed to do pretty much whatever he wants.
Right.
He only has a curfew because it's a week of preparation for one game. He violated a couple of rules. He went to Italy. He didn't ask for authorization to go to another country. When you go out of the country, you have to ask for permission. So if you're in Portugal and you want to go to Minho or Algarve, you could actually. You don't need to ask for permission for that. So he broke that rule. Then he broke another rule, which was the curfew rule. He had to be back home by 2200. The game in Italy ended at 2200. So he still had to go to the airport, catch the flight. So he got home super late. So if Sporting doesn't do anything, there's 24 other players. So if he doesn't discipline him, the other 23 will be like, aha. So I can do the same thing and nothing's going to happen. So that's why Sporting had to install. And I cannot listen to Nando. So if he's saying something, I'm sorry that I can't hear you for some reason.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah. So that's why Sporting actually went really soft. They only gave him 1 game suspension, but they kind of had to do it because they answered to another 23 players. I'm just saying 24 because there's a lot more if you count this under 23 and all that, of course.
Right.
And then he reflects on the youth. Oh, so when I go to the A squad, I can do pretty much what I want and I won't be penalized. So I think that's why Sporting did what he did. Even Porto does it. Even Benfica does it. All the other clubs do it. Sometimes they give them a penalty or a combination of both. But I think Sporting had to do it because he violated a few rules. He went out of the country, number 1. And number 2, he came back home super, super late. And that's why.
Fair enough. I agree with both. I think he definitely needed to be punished. I think benching him and finding him would have been enough. But I mean, I'm not too bothered by it because, like you said, Steph, he did break curfew. So I get both sides. I just think we maybe over exaggerated and tried to follow the example Porto gave Militão, even though it was maybe two different situations. Where Militão, for those who don't remember, went out to partying the night before a game, whereas Wendell went out to watch a game before a morning of practice. Still in the wrong, I think, but I think the punishment was a bit exaggerated, in my opinion. But agreed from both. Last but not least, man of the match. Chris, I'll start with you. Who's your man of the match? And I think this is the first time in weeks we can say not including Bruno Fernandes because, I'll speak about me at least. I don't think he was our man of the match for once.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah.
I'd say my man of the match was Jovan. I thought he played really well. Obviously, he was unlucky last week. He had to just kind of be forced to go off. Just tactically, they had to sacrifice someone. And he lasted 4 minutes out there. So I'm glad that Kaiser gave him the start that he earned last week. And I definitely think he made the most of it. He was dangerous. He created some chances. And when you contrast him to I say probably Diaby, who's pretty much who's playing the same position as him, just on the other side.
Right.
I mean, I think Diaby was probably the worst player out there. And he didn't even play that bad. It's kind of a testament as to how well the team played just overall as far as like a performance standpoint individually. And Diaby was missing, Diaby probably could have had 2 goals at least. He's just unable to finish.
He has a really weak shot too. Sorry to interrupt, but his shot.
No, if you were like creating like a FIFA card for him, like his pace and like skill would be like pretty high, and then his finishing would be like 32. Like
exactly.
His finishing is really bad. But he
Horrible.
gets himself into the right positions often. He just can't do anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean he's good, but he's frustrating. And I think Jovan's more like more clinical and but they're similar in like their dynamic, like attacking players, going at players. But yeah, I mean, I think I'd love to see Jovan on one side and Rafinha on the other side this coming weekend.
Agreed.
Not sure if we're gonna get that, but that would be nice.
Yeah, that would be nice. I agree with that. Nando, how about you? Your man of the match.
Personally, I'm gonna say it's I'm gonna say Giovanni. I've just really overall enjoyed his play. I was debating whether it was going to be him or Luis Felipe. Luis Felipe just for the goal scored in a 1-0. At the end of the day, that's what matters and that's what counts. But it was cool to see, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, Giovanni was just into the game, excitable. Players were feeding off of that. Honestly, let me go back. I'll say between him and Acuna. I'll say the man of the match is split between them and Acuna because I also think Acuna is kind of like killing it these days in his form. So that's kind of what I'm going to go with, honestly, in my opinion. I just think that personally, I'll give it a little bit to Cabral, but Acuna could take it too. He's just that passion on the field right now, and he's playing it both on top. This time Diaby did it. Acuna stepped back and took over and did his thing back there. So between the two, I'm fine with either or.
Yeah, agreed. And Steph, last but not least, who's your man of the match?
I would say Luis Felipe because of his consistency the last few games, and it's good to see a striker that can actually run and pressure the defense, and relieve some pressure off the midfield, and or give them time to actually go back to their positions. And Luis Felipe, without a doubt, for me.
Yeah, truthfully, that's my favorite part about Luis Felipe is his hustle, his, like you said, he's pressuring the defense. He's never staying still. So, personally, to me, I'm giving my man of the match to Acuna. I thought Acuna was well, but I agree with all three of you guys there. Funny, I didn't hear any Goudelli, seeing as Sports TV gave him man of the match. But anyways, that's
Record gave the man of the match to Bruno Fernandes, by the way.
Yeah, which is also, I mean,
They just
whatever.
pick a random player last game.
Yeah, I think so. Truthfully, I think so. All right. To other pressing matters. So there's a little bit of a confusion towards Bruno Fernandes' release clause. There's been some rumors for some time now that Sousa Sintra gave him a 35 million euro release clause when he signed the new contract. But there are other murmurs of 100 million release clause. Bruno Fernandes even spoke on it on a Sport TV, I believe, interview, or was it a Bola? Either or. Steph, do you have any clarification on what's going on with his release clause and what you think is happening?
Oh man, I mean, from what I heard from Sporting160, it looks like an how do you say it? An amendment. Yeah. So if that's the case, oh my God, so the Sintra fucked up. But then you hear Bruno Fernandes on the interview saying no, his release clause is 100 million. You confirm?
Yeah. Yeah, he even said something that it's like a sense of pride that he has, or something like that.
Nah, bro, that's convenience on his end.
The question is, you know, a lot of Sportingistas are still divided. You have two groups of Sportingistas now. One still supporting the Bruno Carvalho and in his administration, and one still very divided to not believing in Varandas yet. So with that said, I mean, it's difficult to tell the truth.
Yeah,
it's extremely difficult. So yeah, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, truthfully, and I'll get to you both of you in a second. I think one, I don't know what's taking us so long to get to the bottom of this. And two, if Bruno Fernandes is as grateful as he is, as he's been saying, coming out in recent interviews, he signs a new contract for the exact same thing, throws on the 100 million, and then that's that. And then we sell him, and you know, we go about our day, because I think, you know, there's reports already coming out today that Saad is already expecting him to be sold. So if we're gonna vamos fazer a vontade no fim do dia, you know what I mean? Like, we're gonna give this kid the exit, which is what, you know, players in the past really wanted, and that's why most of them at least forced their rescission.
All I gotta say is, if he gets sold only for 35 million, he's gonna go back to having the reputation of being
100%, and that's why I'm saying, if he's as grateful as he is, and you know, even when he re-signed, he said, you know, I want to win back the fans. You really want to do that? You sign 100 million right now. Like, we re-sign. Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Dando.
He has to be sold by at least like 70 million.
He won't.
And then I think the fans will be okay with that. Because think about Rui Patricio and all the other ones that you signed with Sporting.
Yeah.
You know, in their mind, you know, honestly, every time they come to Portugal, they're going to have the possibility of somebody calling them un rato for the rest of their lives. For the rest of their lives, they could never walk on the sidewalk peacefully because someone will have the balls to call them a rato.
Yeah.
So do you want that, or do you want to leave graciously like you're supposed to? And even if it's below 100, but if it's around 65, 70, I think he'll earn our respect, and then we'll let him be. And I'm sorry, I can hear Nando. So if he was about to jump in,
no, I'll pass it off to him soon.
I didn't mean to cut him off, but I'm done.
No, you're good, Steph. You're good, Steph. I have been following this shit along pretty passionately, man, and this shit's been stirring my blood for a while. Like, I think from the very beginning, when we all talked about how we felt about him preseason to now, I think we've all made our points pretty clear. Do I, you know, thank him for everything he's done this season? This is me personally, my opinion on the matter, you know, obviously, but yes, he's had a hell of a season, one of the greatest seasons I've seen a Sportingista put together. However, do I trust the guy? Hell no. Do I think he has Sporting's interests at heart? Hell no. I think that he's been backpedaling ever since the whole like, hey, I'm resigning. Just kidding. If you guys remember, a couple months ago, the talk came out that he signed for the same shit, but Sporting gave his impresario, his agent, extra money to have him resign for the same shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. So he can come out and say, nah, bro, I take the same amount of money. Nah, bro, but his agent is in the back doing what he needs to do. And if his agent took any extra money to keep him as Sporting and he didn't, to me, he's just as guilty and he's just as involved and he's just as conscious of what's happening. Now, I don't think Sporting sells him fucking even past 50 million, to be honest. I think 50 million is probably at the most Sporting will get. I see Sporting opening up the pernas, bro, and doing the shit that we used to do in the past when it was like fucking Miguel Veloso and Nani and all these cats in the, you know, in this most recent go of Young's talent, where we'll sell for the first guy that comes knocking on the door. Sporting is going to do some shit where they'll sell it for 35 million and say, epa, we broke, or they'll sell it for just a little bit more than our best sell ever, which I think was 30 million or something like that. And then they'll say,
no, it was more. It was
I'm sorry, you're right. But still, yeah, exactly. I think Sporting will do just a little bit more, just so this Direção can say it was with our talent and our, you know, thought process for the best of Sporting that we sold him for X amount of money. And that's embarrassing. That's a shame. And if you guys also been paying attention as well as he's been playing, almost every time he celebrates, he continues to put his hands over his ears. He knows what he's doing. He's still out there alienating fans and pissing them off and, you know, doing that whole shit that he started from the beginning of the season when he scores the goals and he can't hear the whistles and he can't hear the boos. He just felt bad and he wants to go back and nobody else did it and be like, I was the one who came back while everybody else left. But he only's done it just to get by. The second he gets the opportunity to leave, I thoroughly believe that he will leave as soon as he can. And I don't think Sporting will get not even 50 million for him. And that's embarrassing as fuck.
I only think we're going to get about 50 or 45 to 50 as well. But I think that's more on the reputation of the Portuguese league, because they'll be moving for sure to a bigger club like United or something, like to a bigger league.
And I don't mean to cut you off one last time, bro.
Sorry, yeah, go.
No, I don't mean to cut you off. But like you just said real quick, and I meant to say this, was it's the reputation that Sporting has more so than the Portuguese league, because if fucking Militão, his punk ass, can leave Porto to go to Real Madrid mid-season for 50 plus, who the fuck is Militão and what has he done and who is he? Sure. And if we're gonna sell João, little hasn't hit puberty yet, Felix, to whoever for 60, 50 plus million, not for this man, it has to do with the reputation that Sporting has created, and that Sporting is a club of saldo, and everybody else is going to continue to do that until a Sporting president, we had one, caves and sets the bar. So I don't mean to cut you off, but that's shit, dude.
Yeah, no, that was a good point. I was only gonna say Militão maybe for 50 only because he had some Champions League games, you know, but you're 100% right. It's definitely like I was also going to say, I also think it's going to be 50 because Chris even mentioned it a few podcasts ago, where if we're trying to look for 70, we don't ask for 70, we ask for 100. And I think what we're trying to do with the media, because as most of us I think are able to tell, is where this direction's really utilizing the media more than before, was that I think we're really pushing out the 70 million figure, and if we shoot for 70, we're going to only hit 50 or 60. I just hope, my only thing, which would be fine, because at the end of the day, I also understand it's the Portuguese league. And I also understand Sporting didn't have the best showing in Europa League, and Europa League isn't even the Champions League. And there's obviously biases between leagues and stuff like that. And I've lost my train of thought, but I'm not discontent with 50 million. But I definitely do think that, with maybe a better negotiator, we'd be able to get more. But Chris, what are your thoughts on this Bruno Fernandes situation, dude?
Yeah, I mean, I just want them to be honest with us about it. It's just frustrating that we don't actually know the truth, like confirmed 100%. And it's annoying. And I mean, it's not like them hiding the potential 35 million release clause is going to hurt them from a negotiating standpoint, because like if they're being negotiated, like they're going to have access to his contract. it's not like they're not gonna find out and they'll be like they'll pay $100 million and then it's gonna be like, oh, we got you. Like, it doesn't work like that. Like,
Exactly.
his agent will tell them, like, they'll be able to see, like, if like that's what they're going for, is they're trying to like not have them find out. Like, that's stupid. And I mean, at the same time, you don't necessarily have to release a player if their release clause is hit technically. But I mean, it's going to be difficult for them to say no if the release clause is triggered and it is 35 million, because I mean, that's a good deal. That's a good deal for them. And I mean, 35 million is still a lot of money, but it's not what he's worth. He's worth probably double that. So I mean, it's a lot of money, and I mean, someone's definitely willing to pay that. But I mean, I just want to know, like, what actually is true. Because I mean, if you think about it, it makes sense. He rescinded his contract. They wanted him to come back, so they cut a deal, and
Exactly.
that would entail, oh, it's basically like, come back, we'll give you this bonus, which ended up mostly going to his agent, and we'll make it so that if someone comes knocking, you can leave. Because a lot of the times what happens when you put that 60 or 65 million release clause, it protects them basically, so you don't have to let them go. It's like Doumbia's release clause is 60 million. Like, no one's gonna come knocking the door down to pay 65 million for Doumbia. He's a good player. That release clause is just basically insurance. So if someone comes knocking with like 10, it's like, all right, well, I mean, 10's a lot of money. Doumbia's young, is a good deal. We don't have to let him go if we don't want to, but it's like just basically that protection. So, I mean, I don't know. I guess we'll find out very soon, in about like a month. But it's going to be really interesting to see these people try to explain the truth. If it's true that 35 is the release clause, Man City comes over, they say, okay, here's 38, and then the deal's done. And it's going to be really interesting to see these people turn around and explain to us like why they are being shady and all their shit. So I mean, if they're just trying to postpone the inevitable, they might as well try to get out ahead of it, because rather than explaining it after the fact. So
I think maybe they're even protecting Bruno Fernandes a bit up until the season's done, and then, because I mean, fans will definitely be upset about this, but even still, I think the blame will be more towards Sousa Sintra. If there's any blames towards Varandas about why he didn't sign a new contract, Varandas can easily deflect that and be like, "Oh, talk to his agent" and stuff like that. So I agree. I don't get why we haven't been clear and obvious about this either. All right, last question really before getting into Twitter and modalities. We're rumored again with Rafael Camacho, even though he's also been rumored with Benfica just as of yesterday. So one fear of mine is that this is really just the red press, quote unquote, the red press, trying to push a player that Benfica is going to steal from Sporting again. But anyways, let me read off some of his stats right here. He is 20 years old. 20 years old. He's 18 years old. He's played 13 games in the Youth Premier League, scoring 8, assisting 5. Some of that coming from the UEFA Champions League, or the UEFA Youth Champions League. We're rumored to be buying him or potentially purchasing him for €5 million, as he's coming towards the end of his contract at Liverpool. He has 1 year left. I think his deal is until 2020. Chris, I'll start off with you. Is it a good deal for $5 million to get a player who's mainly playing out wide on the left wing, but could also play right wing, but has featured for Liverpool's senior team at right back?
I actually think $5 million is a pretty fair deal for him, but I did read that Liverpool wants more, because $5 million for the English teams is it's basically a free transfer.
Yeah.
So I mean, to us that would be a pretty significant deal. But to them, not so much. So they're going to try to get more for him. He's still young. He's shown promise. He is able to play in multiple positions. He's actually got a pretty decent goal scoring record with the youth teams at Liverpool and the B team. So yeah, I mean, I think it would be a good deal. The fact that Benfica is linked to him also, it doesn't really help drive down the price for sure, because if we get into a bidding war, they obviously have more financial resources than us right now. And I feel like whenever Sporting and Benfica get into a bidding war with players, sometimes they end up overpaying just because it's like, oh, we stole this guy from Benfica, so we overpaid just kind of to get them instead of Benfica, or vice versa. Benfica ends up overpaying to get someone to say that they stole them from Sporting. So I mean that doesn't necessarily doesn't help the situation, but I mean it appears that he wants out. And I mean that squad is so loaded and so rich, they can buy whoever they want. So I mean, and it's not like Klopp hasn't integrated younger players. So it's like if he hasn't really carved out a spot in the team, it's unlikely to happen. So I mean, I kind of feel him. He knows he has the quality to play first team somewhere. Yeah, I mean, it would suck to see him go to Benfica, but I mean, if Benfica ends up paying 10 mil for him, it's probably not worth it for us.
Sorry, I think I lost you guys for a bit. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry. Sorry, I don't know if you were finished talking.
No, I'm done.
You're good. Sorry. Steph, I was going to ask you the same question before moving on to Nando as well. $5 million for the kid. What do you think? Potentially, of course.
Well, I think it's I don't know. I think it's too much actually. He's only 18 years old. A promising player that's a long stretch. I mean, yeah, he might be a promising player indeed, but since he left Sporting, he came from our youth. He went to Real under 19, and then he was loaned out to Manchester City youth. Then he went to Manchester City youth. He was loaned out to Real of Portugal on a loan. Then he went to Manchester City youth, and he went to Liverpool under 18. Liverpool under 18. He went to Liverpool under 23. So, could he be a great player? Yeah, but for $5 million, I wouldn't waste my money on that. But if Benfica wants him that bad, I would stay in the race just to up his fee, so Benfica could pay more. But I would never buy him for that much. I would rather use our youth in the academy, the ones we have under contract, and give them a shot, than someone that clearly he only thought about himself. He was selfish, and he left Sporting when he was young, and he only thought about money. So he's another case like Rafael Leão and Jaló that just left to Italy. So no, I wouldn't get him at all. I wouldn't be interested in him whatsoever. I would let him go to Benfica. Like I said, I would make believe I'm interested, and make the fee go up to 7-8 million, and let them waste the money on him.
Fair enough. And Nando, you'll be our tiebreaker here. What do you think for $5 million? Camacho, would you take on the kid or not?
Nah, I stand with Steph on this one. If anything, play the position of interested enough to make that price go up. Maybe if he overpay, they can fuck themselves, and then the guy is too young. I don't trust him yet to put that kind of money towards him. And with everything Sporting it has been trying to do and looks to be doing, which is cutting costs and and going the route of focusing on our academy, that just completely ignores that strategy. And if we're going to spend 5 million plus on a guy that young, in which we can just go to our academy and shoot our shot with 1, 2, or however many infinite amount of players, just make sure Benfica overpays for him.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm actually gonna agree with Chris, so it's still 2-2. So fuck you guys. Just kidding. Last real talking point before moving on to modalities, Twitter questions, and all of that. Actually has to do with the modalities, and it's Miguel Albuquerque, our modalities president, coming out saying that they're finishing the B team for our hockey team this year. The B team that was only what's the word I'm looking for? Created, I guess, 3 years ago, and they're also likely going to end with handball's B team. Steph, our modalities expert, I'll start it off with you. What are your thoughts on these terminations?
I mean, nobody wants to see any team being terminated, being the B team in this case. But if we just being realistic, and then sitting down with our finance guy and saying, listen, how much money are we spending on the B team? I don't have any numbers. I don't have anything. Right. But I'm just shooting from the hip. So our B team plays North, South, Madeira, Açores, Portugal, maybe not Açores, but, in the second division. All these trips, it's expensive. And then, they still get a salary. If they get injured, then you got to take care of the medical bills and so on and on and on and on. So when you put all the money together and you see, wow, this is a big chunk of money we can use to improve the basketball team, then, I'll be okay with that, because we have to take care of our A squads. They never said we're going to get rid of the handball A squad. Because if it comes to that, then they're going to get a lot of resistance. But so far, it's only the B teams. And if it's only the B teams, I'm okay, because they're not touching the youth, the under-19, the under-17, juveniles, initiates, juniors. So I'm still okay with that. Because typically what happens is they're not going to be able to accommodate all the players that will go up to the A squad. So they will loan them out to other teams in the first division and second division. So you're kind of still going to have a B team, but it's just going to be loans. So those teams will pay either the full salary or half of the salary. So you're still saving even more money. So you don't have a B team, so you get rid of all those expenses, and now you're loaning them out, and now those teams that will pay their salary or a portion of it if they make too much money. But in the modalities, I don't see that happening. Most of the times, the other teams, they do pay the whole salary. So I think it's a question of money because of the basketball team. If you want to have a competitive basketball team, as we should, because you don't want to finish in the 10th position, not even making the playoffs. This is Portugal, so everything we get into, it's to win. It's not for an embarrassment. So from what I read in the different social medias and newspapers, it's to allocate funds from this side to this side. In this case, from the B teams to the basketball team. Because most of the money comes from where? We all know the socios, as cotas. Am I right?
Yep, exactly.
This is why I'm not a big fan of Portuguese that say, já não vou pagar mais cotas porque não gostas de presidente. Well,
me neither.
You're not affecting
Go ahead.
him.
Go ahead, Steph.
You're affecting the modalities.
Exactly.
When you say that, it hurts my heart because you're missing the point. Your cotas support the modalidades. And if you're going to counterattack and you say, how do you know that? Well, yeah, I don't know. But that's what it's proven so far nos relatórios de contas e isso tudo. So, I'm pretty much done with it. I'm fine with it. I'm not a big fan of the B teams. We have our youth teams, and then we can always loan them out. We have to trim it. Our Portuguese club don't make as much money as the Premier League. Let's put that into our heads. We prefer having the name José Alvalade than sell the goddamn name of it. It's still going to be called José Alvalade, but we don't know how to make money in Portugal. So then you still want B teams? Por amor de Deus. Wake up and smell the coffee. That's it. That's all I got to say.
Fair enough. Chris, Nando, do you have anything to add on that or counter that, if anything?
No, I agree.
Yeah, man. It's all about the money.
All right, fair enough then. Steph, I think that's a perfect transition to move on to modalidades. So take us through our week of Sporting, bro.
Okay, let's do it. So this weekend was actually a very successful one. We had our youth under 8, believe it or not. Mundialito de Barcelona, Sporting won it. So congratulations to those little guys. Then we had quite a few tournaments going on, but I'm not going to go over all of them because it's quite a few. So I'm going to skip right to the Juvenis. We won at home against Football Club Porto 2-0. I saw a portion of the game. It could have been 4-0 or 5-0. Actually, we missed a lot of goals. We played real well against them. So now we in second place behind Benfica. So we're in the pole position to actually be champions again. Then Iniciados, we won 6-0 as well. So we're also in second position behind Porto and Benfica by 1 point. Femininos, we won as well. So we also in the we're still behind Braga by 2 points. We won last time. Futsal, we won 11-3 against Rio Ave. That was the last game of the regular season. So now we go into playoff mode. But before that, like Chris said, we in the Final Four, which starts this Friday against Inter. Mm-hmm. So hopefully we'll win. And then Sunday will be the final, which is being played in, what's the name?
It's in Kazakhstan.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you for that, because, oh my God. Sporting ladies 6-1. That was the result. And ball, yeah. we won against it was a very tight game, 28-27 against Aguascalientes. I'm not surprised because Aguascalientes usually they have a pretty good team.
Yeah.
The juniors won against Benfica 27. No, we lost against Benfica 33-27. So never mind. That's not interesting.
What do you mean? That loss didn't happen? Oh, kid.
Como Danny diz, que se foda. Yeah, it happened, but I was reading it the wrong way, and I'm like, oh shit, we lost. I shouldn't have said anything, but we gotta talk about all the scores. In volleyball, the men's team, we lost after being up 2-1, and we just I mean, if our block is not working and if we can serve, they will win. They have a better team, slightly better team than ours. We have to be in our A game, and now the next game will be this Wednesday. So they up 2-1 in the playoffs. If they win next Wednesday, that's it. They'll be champions of Portugal. And basically, that's all.
All right. Let's move on to Twitter questions before going to preview our next game at home against Guimarães. First question comes in from Joel Da Silva, past guest. Shout out to you, Joel. At Joel Leon _073. Nando, I'll ask you this question because we actually spoke about it in a podcast or two ago, but I want to know your thoughts. What are your thoughts on us using part of our future transfer budget to renovate our stadium, but therefore buying one or two less players? So removing all green or getting all green seats, I should say, removing the azulejos, etc. What do you think about that?
I'm all for that shit, dude. I'm completely all for that. I think it's been quite obvious across at least in my opinion, the vast majority of Sportingistas and our displeasure with our stadium. I don't hear Benfiquistas or Portistas talk so bad about their stadium. I personally have been in Porto Stadium. I thought it was a really nice stadium. That's my opinion on it. I've never stepped foot in Benfica's trash, but I don't plan on it. But anyway, in regards to Sporting, I'll put it this way. I have gone to Portugal now a couple times and had, in one occasion, a couple friends of mine that were there with me in Portugal. Some could care less about soccer, some love soccer, but overall, everybody loved sports. And when they went into Sporting Stadium, they were like, seriously? Like, what the fuck's going on here? So I'm personally all for fixing that. Give us our green seats, fix our fosso that literally is dangerous. People have been, I think, killed in one occasion, twice maybe, definitely hurt. Make the stadium bigger. You can do that easily. I think Bruno Carvalho even talked about it briefly in that 160 podcast.
Yeah.
And how much he thought it would cost, about 10 million or a little less than that.
For the seats, he just said 2. I can't remember the other figures.
I remember 2 for the seats. It's definitely doable. And I don't know, man. Sporting Stadium, the whole issue we've had with the grass for the longest time, we've always seemed to have had issues with Sporting Stadium one way or another. It just looks like it was kind of half-assed and rushed into existence for the Euro. And I'm all for that, bro. I'm all for that because at the end of the day, that is where Sportingistas get together, and that is where Sportingistas show their love for the club. And if we can't treat our own right, and if we can't make sure our own are very proud, and I mean, not saying I'm not proud of it, but I'm saying we've obviously shown a displeasure for it, then yeah, man, sell 1 or 2 players, use that money towards it, cut costs by other methods, but definitely I'm for that.
Yeah, fair. Next question, I'll give it to you, Chris. This comes from my boy Matt Paiva, Casa de Paiva at mpaiva7. He asks, what are your guys' thoughts on Rafinha this season so far? Has he surpassed your guys' expectations, or has he performed below? What do you think, Chris?
I'd say he's at least met expectations in my eyes. He's been hurt for a little bit of the season, and he was having some trouble getting into the team at first. And I think that probably around halfway through the season, it was pretty clear that he should be starting and playing more than he was. And he hadn't really been getting as many opportunities, but I think that he is probably our most dynamic winger in terms of going one-on-one. And I also think he's probably our best finishing winger as well.
Yeah.
That he's got that banger in him, and he's hit a couple over the course of his career. Guimarães too. Diaby's really never a threat to cut in from 20 yards out and put one up or 90. That's pretty much never going to happen. Jovan has it a little bit, but him and I just think he's quality. I think that his crosses, his decision making, I think has improved a little bit. Sometimes he still gets into that mode where he just puts his head down and just dribbles endlessly towards the touchline and ends up attracting 3 defenders and putting himself in pretty much no man's land, because at that point he's being closed down by several players and he's dribbled too much. So I mean, that's probably the one thing that he still has to work on. But I mean, overall, I think that he's been excellent. He wasn't cheap either. He was 7 mil.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that he's finally hitting a stride the second half of the season, and looking forward to watching him still improve, because he's still relatively young, and I think he's quality. So I would say that he's met expectations for me overall.
Yeah, agreed. Steph, next question goes to you. We sort of spoke about the first part of the question, but I'm more interested to hear the second, or what you think about the second part. So it comes from Sporting CP Youth at Sporting CPY on Twitter. I recommend the follow. Really good guy. All the way over in Germany, talking about our youth. Anyways, he asks, Could Felipe be our main striker for next season? I mean, is he good enough for the Europa League? We sort of discussed that, but his second part is what I want to know more. He asks, and if you were Kaiser Varandas, would you sell Dost or maybe give him a second chance next season? What do you think, Steph?
Well, Dost, there's two problems. The first problem is his salary. Apparently, he makes $4 million, which is
he's the highest paid. He's the highest paid player, right?
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he makes $2 million net, and then $2 million for taxes purposes.
Yeah.
So that's the number one problem, and Sporting, that's why they would like to sell him. But let's say they say, you know what, let's make a sacrifice and let's keep him. Yeah, I would rather keep him. It's not like we have too many strikers across Europe that can guarantee us X amount of goals per year like Bas Dost. But I would have a really long conversation with him. I would say, is everything okay? What's going on? I mean, so far, everyone is expecting that this guy, there's something mentally wrong with him. It goes beyond that physical injury. And then if that's the case, talk to him and see if everything is okay on a personal basis with his family, and see what he wants to do. If he says, no, I'm done, I just want to go, then sell him. If he says, no, listen, I'm back, I just want to give it all to Sporting, then keep him and maybe make the sacrifice and still pay him the $4 million. Because we don't have, if you look across Europe, who are you going to get? So, yeah. I mean, you don't have like strikers available that we can say this guy's going to give us 20 goals per season. And I'm being really nice by saying only 20. So Bas Dost gave us so far, 14 in the Portuguese league. And then if you combine the UEFA Cup and all that, I think it's like close to 20 this season.
Yeah. So I was searching it up just now. Yeah. He scored a total of 20 goals in all competition.
There it is. And now
28 games. Not bad.
Not bad at all, especially for someone that apparently he looks like he's in a depression mode. God knows why, but that's why we have professionals. We have our medical staff to handle that, to talk to him. So to answer the question is, I would love to keep him. He's one of the best strikers in Europe. But see what's going on. And if the man says, listen, I'm done, I just want to go back to my native country, then we got to sell him and let him go.
Yeah, I agree. I'll even throw in a bit of my 2 cents. I think if we don't sell him for more than one, for more than we bought him for, but two, if we don't sell him for around 15, 20 million, we're better off keeping him. Because like you said, 28 games, 20 goals. Let's not forget when he didn't play a game under Peseiro. I believe he was injured for that month and a half, for 2 months that he was there. And he hasn't played for what feels like a month now.
Uh-huh.
He's 14 goals in the Portuguese league. I think he's 4th or something in the Portuguese league. So that's not terrible. I mean, my only gripe with him is that he doesn't show up in big games. But I mean, if we can find some sort of alternative next season, or if Luis Felipe is that guy, and we can't sell him for a good enough price, I'm with you, Steph. I say we keep him. All right, next question comes from our boy Kevin at Kev1 and Arouge6 on Twitter. He asks, what is your stance on Yuri Medeiros? He's been around many clubs on loan, but never stays with us. Is he still with enough talent and promise to be part of the squad? Does he not fit into the system, or just holding on to a lost cause? Carlos Mena and Jonathan Silva also examples. Nando, I'll pass it off to you. What's your stance on Yuri?
My stance on him is the same as all these other young cats that we've been talking about and paying attention to since the Football Manager days when we were playing on PC and shit, bro. Like, these guys have passed the phase of promessa, have passed the phase of like they're the future stars. It's one thing to leave Sporting and then go to another club and then kill it and come back to Sporting, and then we're like, why the hell can't a coach give these guys opportunities, right? But like, these are dudes that are going, and I plural because it's more than just Ludi. But to answer about Yuri, like he's going to other clubs and he's not even affirming himself at the club. He'll do okay one season here or there, and then he'll fall off, and then he'll like come back and do well here or there, then he'll fall off. I mean, when that's the repeat of your career, that's a you problem. I'm done saying that's a Sporting problem. Sporting could have given him opportunities at a younger age, sure, but that doesn't and that shouldn't derail you from establishing yourself as a footballer in another club and making money and making that your profession. You know what I mean? Yeah. You either have the talent, your head is either in the game or not, because even if you're not great, or even if you're not a superstar, you're going to be able to make a living off playing a sport. And these guys are like they're not starting. He's not, sometimes in most cases, not on the bench where he's come from. So, yeah, I'm done with him. On to the next guy, man.
Yeah, agreed. And I mean, JJ even gave him a chance and he didn't really take it. So I'm with you on that, Nando. Last question comes in from CR28 at Defensor_SCP, another former guest. What's up, bro? Our boy Chris. And I'll give this question to our Chris. How to replace Bruno Fernandes? Do we get someone expensive? Perhaps get two just in case, or just one and expect Geralds to step up? What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I definitely think that that's probably one of the positions that I'd like to see us invest. We don't have to go crazy, but like maybe like 5, 6, 7 mil on like a player who's playing maybe on one of the smaller teams in like Spain or Germany, or maybe a South American player, perhaps, because I don't think you can just expect. I don't think you can expect anyone really to adequately replace him. 43 goal contributions in all competitions. I mean, it's not going to happen. I mean, that's literally the best season any midfielder's ever had.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not going to replace him, but you can at least try to, have someone that's ready to step in. Wendell is like an example of like kind of the mold of player you want to get. But even Wendell took a couple years to fully, hit his potential as a consistent first team player. So I would hate to see us invest that much money like we invested in Wendell and not really have it pan out ever, or take a couple years, because we're kind of going to need a replacement immediately. The team relies a lot on him to not only score but create chances and stuff. And he's a hard worker. He's a captain, a leader by all accounts. So I mean, it's definitely going to be difficult to replace him. But I don't even know if Chico Geraldes is going to be on the team next season. Yeah. So I definitely think that we can't really just expect him to kind of step in. But I mean, potentially he stays on as like a squad player, like a reserve option, and hopefully he plays more than like 2 minutes a game every 3 games. And not even that, like every 6 games. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind if we invested, a decent amount and got like a promising player. Like you think about like the quality that we got in a player like Brian Ruiz, who was more of like a CAM. Like when he was in England, he kind of adapted to being more of a winger at Sporting. But I mean, he came from one of the worst teams, or one of the worser teams in England. / the better teams in the championship. They're always in between. So I mean, and he was, he had the touch. He was quality, and he was relatively affordable. I think he cost Sporting like $2 million. So I wouldn't mind us going for a player in that kind of capacity. Maybe like 27, who's ready to step in and play. Like immediately.
Yeah, fair. Good point. And I mean, we also have, Barbosa, who just won the second Division 2 that can play that position. Like you said, maybe Geraldes, maybe not Geraldes, seeing how it goes. So yeah, I'm with you. I also think maybe just one player would be enough. I don't know if we should invest in more than that, but yeah, like a Brian Ruiz type player for sure. Anyways, Let's go into the preview against Guimarães. Steph, I'll start it off with you. How do you see this game, and what's your prediction?
Well, the game, it's going to be a difficult game because Guimarães, as we all know, when they play against us, it's like they play for the World Cup or something, or the Champions League. It's like it's the always the best game of the season for some reason. But I'm predicting that Sporting will win, like 2-0 against Guimarães. But nevertheless, it's going to be a very difficult game. Well coached by, I like the coach Castro. He comes from the Porto school. So 2-0 Sporting, but we're gonna have to arregaçar as mangas and give our 100%.
Agreed. Nando, how about you?
I say we win. I say we keep the streak going. I don't think it'll be easy, but I also think, like Steph just said, there's certain clubs that always just seem to show up and play so much better against us. And looking at the schedule going forward, this is arguably the toughest game that's left other than the final. I see us winning 1-0 and just keeping the streak going. That's honestly, I don't see it being like a hell of a performance from Sporting. But I see us doing enough that we're being consistent in a lot of phases of the game that we should get the win and play decently doing so, sort of like Nacional.
Yeah, agreed. And how about you, Chris? Chris? You there?
Oh, sorry. Can you say
Talking
that
on
again?
mute. Preview and prediction of Guimarães.
Yeah. So like I said, obviously they're a tough team, always. And actually there was just an incident after their game last weekend. Some fan dissatisfaction with their loss at home against Aves. And as we know, they have some of the most like hardcore fans out of all of the non-big three teams in Portugal. And I mean, arguably, like, even considering them like as consistent as the big three fans. So yeah, they weren't pleased to see them to lose 2-0 to a team who's fighting relegation. Although I will admit, Aves is in great form under Inacio, and they're probably going to be saved. But still, I mean, Guimarães is fighting for potential Europa League spot, and this doesn't help them in that cause. So yeah, the fans weren't happy, and there was like some incidents after the game, and they were like trying to like get to the team bus or whatever. So yeah, they're under some pressure now as a result of that, and they're going to be looking for some points. So there's pressure on them for sure. So yeah, I mean, but at the same time, we're rolling right now. This is probably the best run of form we've had all season over the past like 2 months. So I do think it's going to be more of a difficult game than the ones that we've just played against Nacional and Aves, and even Rio Ave the game before. But I do think that we get the result 2-1. This run of clean sheets has been great, but I don't know if it can keep going forever.
I mean, Renan is back in net next week, or I should say on Saturday. So I doubt it. I'm going to agree with you. I think another 2-1 win, or not another, but we're going to win 2-1. And the only reason I'm going for a Sporting win is because Guimarães has been in some poor form. They've only won 2 of their last 6, lost 2 straight games. I mean, we're definitely going to expect a reaction from them, but I think like all 4 of us have said now, they're struggling a bit lately. But anyways, guys, that is the end of our podcast. Thank you all very much for listening. Shout out to Lauren in the chat, our boy Johnny. Thank you all for joining us live. Thank you everybody on the Twitter questions. Make sure to keep interacting with us on Twitter. Of course, it's at Sporting160_EN. And yeah, we'll see you soon, guys. Ciao and Viva Sporting.
Viva!